After years of silence and after the absolute misstep that was Metal Gear Survive, the series is finally back. Konami has delivered a full remake of one of the greatest stealth action games of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Now rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5, this is the most faithful reimagining of Snake's legendary mission we've ever seen. But is it actually any good? Let's talk about it. So first, let's just go over a little bit of history about the game. So Snake Eater originally launched on the PS2 between November 2004 to March 2005, depending on where you were in the world. It was developed and published by Konami, being directed by the legendary Hideo Kojima. I don't need to go too in depth into what this game is because it's considered one of the best of all time, having sold over 4 million copies. Since then it has been re-released a couple of times, once as part of the HD collection for the PS3, 360 and Vita, and then again as a 3D title on the Nintendo 3DS. The HD edition of the game was also included with the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection compilation for Switch, PS4, PS5, Windows and Xbox, which coincidentally was around the same time they actually announced this remake anyway. So with the context out the way, let's actually get into the game. First things first, the remake is incredibly faithful to the original, almost too faithful. Every story beat, every codec call, every bizarre Kojima moment, it's all here. That means the Cold War setting, Snake's infiltration into Soviet territory, and of course, the iconic ladder scene are intact. It's such a faithful recreation that they actually give you a warning sign to say some of the things in the game may seem outdated because it's over 20 years old, as you boot the game up. But now it's all dressed up in Unreal Engine 5, and honestly, the game looks stunning. The environments are lush, dense with foliage, and the lighting really brings the jungle to life. Snake's character model looks fantastic, and the bosses, for the most part, are more intimidating than ever. The pain! The pain! That said, the campy over-the-top cutscenes, especially before these boss fights, can sometimes look a little strange with these hyper-realistic graphics. When Snake eats a poisonous frog or delivers a dead serious line about literally anything, it's funny but also a little uncanny in this new engine. The story of Snake Eater has always been considered one of the best in gaming, and it pleases me greatly to say that it's just as good today. Themes of loyalty, betrayal and legacy hit just as hard now as they did over 20 years ago. For new players, this is a perfect entry point. No need to have played previous games since this is technically the start of the saga. And for veterans, it's like visiting an old friend, if that old friend has had some work done. Now, gameplay is where things get really interesting. Snake Eater's survival mechanics such as hunting for food, healing Snake's injuries and managing camouflage on the fly, they were revolutionary back in 2004, and you know what? They've aged shockingly well. In fact, with survival and immersive sims being as big as they are today, this system feels fresh again. Hunting, foraging, and patching Snake up in the field adds immersion that most modern stealth games would skip. That said, it's not all perfect. Movement can still feel clunky at times, and sometimes that movement does feel a bit buggy, trying to hide behind cover or step over bodies. And on top of that, Snake still has that slightly stiff, janky animation when crawling or climbing. It's faithful to the original, but in 2025, that kind of jank does stand out. As well as this, the game does actually still have a couple of bugs that I'm sure will be getting patched out in the coming days. There were numerous moments throughout my playthrough where I would knock someone out or kill them, and then the body would just despawn, meaning I wasn't able to loot their body for any ammo or medical supplies. Now there are a few moments where vultures will land and do this for you, but when you're inside and bodies are just despawning, there's no real reason for that to happen. It's just quite annoying, especially if you're low on supplies or ammunition. And then there are the boss fights. And yes, they're all back and they're all faithfully recreated for better or for worse. Some of the boss fights, such as the ones with the pain or the fear, are quite tedious because it's just run around until they have a brief moment of vulnerability where you can shoot, rinse and repeat for about 10 minutes and move on. And it's exactly the same here. Part of me would have liked to have seen a new coat of paint over these boss fights just to make them feel a little bit more fresh, but I do understand Konami were going with the faithful recreation approach. And then that also means that you have to fight at the end. Yes, the legendary sniper boss fight is back in all its glory and frustration. The tension of hunting him across a massive battlefield is still unmatched, but also it's still a slog. If you loved it back then you're gonna love it now. If you hated it back then, well, buckle up, because it hasn't changed. But speaking of things that haven't changed, if you just save and come off the game for a week, then the end will simply just die of old age by the time you come back. So it's nice to know that you can still cheese your way around it. And also there's a way to kill him early, which unfortunately I did not realise until after I'd already beaten the normal boss fight. Anyway, on top of the boss fights making a comeback, another iconic part of Snake Eater has returned, and that is Snake vs Monkey. Yes, that's right, we've got an Ape Escape comeback in the grand year of 2025, and I'm absolutely here for it. Much like in the original version, you have to track down and capture all of the apes within a certain time limit, and replay until you get the highest score. Well, if you want to, of course. And on top of this now, you are able to find astrobots hidden within the levels as well. Now, this is exclusive to the PC and PlayStation 5 versions, as the Xbox version did not get anything to do with Ape Escape. Instead, it now has Bomberman, which again is a pretty cool crossover, but like, they could have just put the Ape Escape mode in the Xbox version anyway, but that's just me. So where does this remake land? Honestly, it's exactly what fans were hoping for, a faithful, gorgeous update that respects the source material. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, and in many ways it feels like a time capsule brought forward into modern hardware. The awkward animations, the sometimes over-the-top cutscenes, and the occasional clunky design choices remind you this is a game born in the early 2000s. But rather than feeling outdated, it feels somewhat refreshing, especially in a gaming landscape where stealth games are becoming rarer. This remake proves two things. One, that Kojima's original vision was decades ahead of its time, and two, that there's still room for thoughtful, slow-paced, tactical gameplay in 2025. Now, speaking of Kojima, I found it very funny that he was asked in a recent interview whether or not he'd be giving Snake Eater Remake a go, and the answer was just simply, no I won't. Nothing else, no elaboration. Fair enough, man, I don't blame you. And on top of this, the game already has mods, and someone has modded in Hideo Kojima, so that you play as him and not Snake. Now, the version you have been seeing on screen today is the deluxe edition of the game on PC, which was very kindly provided to me by Konami. So just a massive thanks to Konami for providing us a copy of this game. So for me, as someone who doesn't spend that much time with tactical stealth games, this is a solid 8 out of 10. But how has the game reviewed across the board? Well, it currently holds an 85 out of 100 on Metacritic for both the PS5 and PC versions, as well as the game currently holding a very positive review score on Steam, with 83% of the user reviews being positive. So should you play it? If you're a long-time fan, this is a must. If you're new to Metal Gear, there's no better place to start. It's not flawless, but it's certainly a reminder of just how good this series can be. This is Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, reborn, and it's damn good to have it back. So let me know if you've played this game yet, if you're going to play it yet, and what you think. Share all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with any future reviews coming out. All that's left to say is a massive thank you to my patrons, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.